and welcome to Blabbing for Britain, week 18, where Jon and I discuss topics of the day and interesting things that are happening in the UK and around the world. It is an open session. You're welcome to join in the seats and try out Blab and discuss any topics that are of interest to you. It's gone again. Well, whilst he's gone, I just want to post a quote. And I want to bring it across as well. Sadly, you'll like this, not a lot, but you'll like it. Paul Daniels died today, and he's been part of our television history since the 70s. So on my behalf, best wishes to his family. And he was Mr. Entertainment during the 70s and 80s, a superb musician and showman. And that's one of the catchphrases that will stay with us.
And he's not the only one who died overnight. Sadly, we lost Cliff Mitchell-Moore as well.
Indeed, indeed.
He at least had a long gun at 96.
Yeah, Paul Daniels was 77, which is not a bad innings, but... Right, okay, so as I say, he was part of British television for over 45 years. Right, on to more, well, we need to change the mood a little bit because we celebrate Paul Daniels. I mean, we can go back and watch his shows again. Right, the second thing, this is going from there to yesterday. The Welsh Parliament were going to vote on to ban e-cigarettes in certain public places. And all the health authorities said, no, don't ban e-cigarettes. People are using them to stop smoking. Now, that's something which I can identify with because I use that method too. And I still, as you see, occasionally vape. But then what happened was, and this is the state of politics in the UK at the moment, the bill did not pass, and it didn't, nothing to do with the merits of the bill. What happened was that the Labour Party, or a member of the Labour Party, made a stinging remark of a Plaid Cymru member of the Parliament, and Plaid Cymru as a whole took umbrage at that and voted against. So common sense prevailed, but not due to any common sense from our politicians. They managed to fall out with each other. And the quote read, Plaid Cymru are a cheap date. And the Plaid group met and decided to vote against the bill, which therefore failed because Labour didn't have a majority. So we can still use e-cigarettes when we're in Wales.
Have no effect on me, I'm afraid. Never started.
Right, it's probably that's the best way, never to have started smoking. But if you do smoke, then switching to e-cigarettes is the way to go. And our health authorities are actually recommending that people take that route and they try to quit smoking. It is far cheaper. I'm not going to again say it too much because nicotine works as well. But the proprietary medications that people have been using over the years are far more expensive than switching to e-cigarettes.
I've been trying to get my wife to switch to an e-cigarette, but before we got married, she said she'd give up when they got to 50 pence a packet. I believe they're about 8 or 9 quid a packet now.
Well, I've lost track too. I think they're about £9. Good morning, Peter.
Morning. Morning.
How are you?
Oh, just interested in your e-cigarette thing.
All right. Okay, go.
Yeah. I've got hired vans and the guys are banned from smoking near them if they're a smoker.
Yeah.
And now a couple of them have got vapes. And I was absolutely furious because I told them, you're not allowed to use that in the van ever. And I caught one of them sitting smoking in the van with it. And he nearly lost his job because I said, we don't know what's in that. Because later on, there could be things coming in that we don't know about because it's new. But you do not vape in the van. So that's a rule that I put in. But smokers, their own worst enemy, you know, they take chances, you know, all these sorts of things. But that's what happened. And yeah, I think they should be banned in public places because we don't really want that I don't know, they've got all these flavours. I don't want that blown into my face when I'm sitting in a cafe or whatever.
That's a fair point, and I vape at home and when I'm out and about, but very rare. I wouldn't use it in a pub. I would use it in a cafe.
Yeah.
There's no need.
Well, the next thing, have a look at where you are, and when these guys vape, there's a lot of vapour comes out of there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vapour, and I've got to say, in my city, they're springing up everywhere. E-shops, e-cig shops, they're everywhere.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, there's one in town.
I went and had my hair cut. Note, look, it's
looking good, John.
And the back of the hairdressers, which used to be a beauty salon for ladies' beauty salon at the back of a gents' hairdresser, God knows how you work that one out, is now a vape shop. So
Right.
crazy.
Let me see your haircut again.
The lady running the hairdressing salon loves it because she said people come in to buy their vapes and then they ask her if they can have a haircut. So she says her business has gone up by 25% since the vape shop opened.
There you go.
Morning, Kevin.
Yeah.
I think yeah, it's obviously, again, it's personal choice, but if your personal choice impacts on others, then you should be mindful of that. And certainly, I mean, the vans are your property, Peter. I don't think that anybody can.
No, they're not my property. That's the problem. I've got what they call flexi vehicles, flexi hire. And the great thing about them is, right, I pay for everything. Everything's paid for. I mean, I think about £80 a week per van, right?
Yeah.
I can hand them back tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
No long sign-in. I could take the lot and say, here you are tomorrow morning. Really a good service, you know, and everything service. So for any new business starting up, it's a way to go. Get a not a long-term lease, not just flex a hire it, but they might have problems getting credit and things like that right away. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Our next topic, staying with health, is who's the famous? Right, is the tax on sugar, which comes in 2017, where Coke and Pepsi and Red Bull all have tax on them, set to raise £500 million a year, and putting up the price will stop people drinking them. Now, I can see that for kids who are buying these drinks out of the pocket money, then that's certainly going to hit them. We are facing an obesity epidemic in the UK as well as in the US. So is it a good move?
But do we know what it is? What is the tax?
No.
So if we don't know whether it's going to put tuppence on a can or 20 pence on a can, we don't really know what effect it's going to have, does it?
It's going to be... Okay. Point taken. But as a principle then, let's go with the principle.
Come on, it's not going to make any difference. I shall still buy my Coke, yeah? Although I'm trying to give it up a bit because I'm definitely expanding around the middle. I put that down I haven't been on the allotment over winter.
Kevin, our man with the facts, who helps us out all the time, says 6 pence on a can of Coke. So yeah, I mean, it's like an extra. It's a godsend for the government because they get £500 million from nowhere. But in the name of health.
But is that 6 pence on ordinary Coke? What does he do about Diet Coke that has no sugar in it?
Well, it won't be taxed, will it?
Well, it better be bloody staying the same because that's all I drink. I'm a diabetic, and I'm actually not so much about the price going up. I think there should be more choice. Like when I go into a pub, I say, "Have you got Diet Coke? Have you got any other diet drinks?" I'm actually into sparkling water now, and it's bloody expensive, sparkling water. And so I think it's a good thing. However, I don't think it's going to work because my pub is just taking. We used to pay £1.70 for a Coke in the pub, right?
Yeah.
That I sing in. And to get more business, they've dropped that to £1.50. That's a big whack.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's to do. Listen, education is just look at the smoking certainly worked by it. No, people smoke outside pubs and things, but I don't know. It's just education regarding turning into Until you become a diabetic, you don't know what's hit you.
Yeah.
And that's it, and it's a problem for me.
Mm.
Seems our legal representative wants to ban fizzy drinks and replace it with real ale. So I don't know how that's going to affect the drink drive clean-up rate, but
I mean that's how we all began drinking ale, because we couldn't drink the water because it was bad to drink. So people started brewing ale and drank that instead. So perhaps we're going back 400 or 500 years and go back to real ale. But I think that a tax on sugar is a good idea. As you said, Peter, people need to be educated, and the only way to do that is to hit the pocket. You know, it's difficult. I mean, if once a day, if we go back to our youth, everything was cooked fresh. There was no frozen. There was no, you know, life has changed totally and become too convenient. And I'm all for the tax, and I hope that it does work.
Speaking about sugar,
Yep.
I'll tell you who's really, really good at showing their food content, the sugar level. That's the bit I look for. Is Aldi. Aldi supermarket is really clear on the sugar content, and I judge it what I buy with that. If it shows that red or the yellow, I just put it down again now.
Yeah, I mean, you segued into a nice section there, because Aldi is in our town in Devizes, and they closed for 4 weeks. And they closed for 4 weeks to do a complete refit, and they have gone up market, but the prices have stayed low. Mm-hmm. And there's more choice there's as much choice in there now as you can get in Morrison's, and the fresh baker and the whole range of things. Is
that Aldi or Lidl?
Sorry, Lidl probably.
Yeah,
I get them confused.
It's Lidl that has the bakery. There are 2 Lidls close to me, and one has been closed for 8 months and completely razed to the ground. And it actually opened at the beginning of this week. It opened on Monday, and it's like an aircraft hangar. It's 4 times plus the size it is, and it has a bakery that's bigger than the ground floor area of my house. It's got a huge bakery in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm kind of impressed as well.
Well, I've got to tell you, we're going shopping there this weekend.
I shop in Aldi and Lidl all the time. I go into one or the other of them almost every day of the week, because they're convenient and they're easier to park in than my local Sainsbury's.
Oh yeah, plenty of parking. They know what they're doing.
And I bring my Marks and Spencer's bags with me.
Of course you can. We've got an M&S food hall. We've got Morrison's, but Aldi is probably now the best in town. We used to have a Tesco's, but they decided to leave town after 30 years.
We've got an area near us. We've got an Aldi. We've got a Lidl near us. We've got a Tesco. We've got a Marks and Spencer and a little shopping. This is just a little shopping center, and it's great because you pick the things you want in that one, go to the next one, get it what you need, and so it's a good shopping experience. But I've got to say, the quality of Markies is still there. Or something about Marks and Spencer's, it's still there for certain items that you want to go and get. You know?
The only problem with Marks and Spencer's around us is that there's a traditional Marks and Spencer's with a downstairs food hall that's in the town centre. It will cost you at least £2.50 to park in the town centre to be able to go there. So if you only want to buy a small amount of stuff, there's a big parking tax on it. And then we have on the, if you like, an edge of town estate with the B&Q and all those kind of people on there. And there's a Marks and Sparks food hall only on that, but you can never park there.
That's the big problem.
M&S is out.
And that's another thing. See, when I was younger, I could never work out the double yellow lines, the one single line and the timings, but I've cracked it. In Aberdeen, I laugh because I go and get a parking space in the evening after 6, right? And I see the line and I look up 8 to 6. Then free parking after that, and people still park across from it and put money in the machine. I think it's marvellous because I always get a parking space at night. So, I can't believe it.
double yellow lines is a not happy situation in this household. We gained double yellow lines outside the house 18 months ago. The basis was that people parked from the railway station in our road. They didn't. And they told us they were going to put these double yellow lines out, and it was out to consultation. I did a 3-week photographic diary of the road and the 2 side roads that were gaining it. The 2 side roads, there was potentially an argument, but not a great deal of argument. But there was only once in the entire time was there a vehicle parked on our stretch of road. Right. And he was doing a delivery, so he wasn't exactly there. And I went round twice a day at the same time, photographing it, created a report, submitted it to the council. It wasn't even acknowledged. They just put the lines in. And when I asked, did you take into account, the councillors that made the decision didn't even know it had been submitted.
What? Oh, that's ridiculous, that. Yeah. And that's another thing. My partner, funnily enough, at Aldi's, we had a nice day. We went down for a coffee and everything. A couple of days later, we get a ticket in from Parking Eye, overparked. I took it, ripped it in half and put it in the bin, but Sheila was going to pay it. I said, don't pay it. I says, it's an invoice. It's not legal.
Well, it is actually, because we've suffered this as well. And Ramsey, Ramsey from Hat Trick and Ramsey, he's just got the same situation where he's actually working in the store and he's got a ticket for working in the store. But with Aldi and Parking Eye, if you can submit the receipt or prove that Aldi will have it waived for you.
Yeah. Well, I just have fun because Richard McCann, you know Richard McCann?
Yeah.
I think we've.
That's a speaker. That was the guy. He's a motivational speaker now, and that was his mum that was killed by the Yorkshire Ripper, the first woman. And but Richard actually took them to court, and he filmed it live outside and everything. And you know something? They didn't turn up. Right? It was all over the papers. He was in the news, and they had to give him money for the court.
I have to really be fair to Parking Eye, because we had this issue because my mum takes forever to walk around Aldi, and then next door in the same, there's just 2 shops. It is not Iceland, the other big frozen food people. It doesn't matter anyway. And she's 83 and she uses 2 sticks. And she drives my wife balmy when they go shopping. But what Parking Eye did do was, having sorted it out and sent a copy of both the receipt and Mum's blue badge, they extended the parking on the computer so that we had 3 hours for that car instead of the hour and a half that you're allowed. So I have to say there are some good sides to Parking Eye as well as the negative sides.
Yeah. So that, I don't know what it's parking, blue badges, people parking in disabled spaces really annoys me.
Oh, that annoys me.
I'm not disabled, but it was sad to see a woman getting a hard time. The right letters saying so nasty letters, but they never leave a name or a number to reply so you can tell them. They just watch people who look physically fit or whatever, right? But they maybe got a heart problem and they give them such a hard time, but they've never, ever left their phone number to tell them any different. That really annoys me. Disabled people looking at them and you don't know they're disabled. Yeah. And they think, why should you be parking there? Rant over!
Right, okay. Let's take our next topic then and see what you think of this. Yeah. If it works, yes. Driverless.
Hey, now this reminds me of a 20-year-ago joke.
Okay, go.
Did you hear that the Irish government have approved that the cars should stop driving on the left and move to the right, to drive on the right like they do on the continent? They're going to have a 3-month trial. And if it's successful, all the lorries are going to do it as well.
Okay. Yeah, good. The Oldensons are the best. Right. Okay. Now, the Times rumoured that this was going to take place on a quiet stretch of the M6.
A quiet stretch of the M6.
Going over Shap.
Ah, right, okay.
Up in Cumbria.
Where it runs parallel with the railway.
Yeah, around that area.
Well,
I don't know. I suppose the first thing is, would you sit in a driverless car?
Probably.
Feel safe.
Yeah. I would read the paper. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I can agree with that. I mean, I'd feel safe driving around town. But on the motorway, I don't know. Perhaps Neil has some views on this as well. On the motorway, I think it's a different thing entirely. I mean, there must be some. Obviously, they've worked it out. And having driverless cars, and driverless lorries obviously brings the cost down. And but I think you still got to have somebody in the cab.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it would be good. I just travelled to Glasgow, right? And I was going down, and I came across these bloody yellow things. They're called vultures, and they take your average speed. No, hey, he's listening in, but no, I'm only joking. I don't speed, if I can help it. But I don't speed. I don't go up to 80 mile on a motorway. I stay at 70, whatever. But I'm terrified of the vultures because just in case you get it wrong, that average speed. So I slow down to make up for that 1 mile I went over. But no, the driverless car would be brilliant for that. Put it in, and away you go. The vultures know you're watching, and they're sitting there on the stick. But what I think the government want is one day they want everybody to jump in their cars, and they know that every car in the UK, every truck in the UK will never go over the speed limit. Yeah. And what we'll have is cars in the city doing 30 mile an hour, 20 mile, and we'll have trucks and cars going down the motorways, right? And there'll be one big traffic queue. Because have you ever seen traffic in a dispute where they've decided, like lorry drivers, they're going to do the speed limit? Have you seen the chaos it causes? What you saying, Arj? What you say about that? As you're just writing today.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. We'll move off off the traffic for the moment then, and come on to something which is not controversial, but which may be helpful. Nike have just unveiled, and this is a first, a self-lacing training shoe, where it does the laces up for you. Obviously, that's of groundbreaking importance, but I just noticed it in passing this morning. Essentially, these high-tech training shoes, which are only available to use the Nike app, whilst they have laces, they have a button either side of the shoe, and you press the buttons together and it tightens your laces.
Oh, where can I buy them?
yeah. Right. Okay. Well, obviously, it's obviously they've got it working. It would be interesting. I don't know. I don't have shoes with laces. They're long gone. So I'm not affected at all. I don't think I'm going to pay 100 quid for trainers. That's for sure. Yeah.
I can't see my boots doing themselves up.
No. Right. Okay.
Oh, strange one.
Right. Okay. And our next topic is Amazon. No, sorry. I'm going to get this wrong. Is it Apple? Amazon are going to be using Google's service? I think it's true. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute while I check out the veracity of this story. I closed a tab. I think somebody's going to be using Google servers because they're only creaking at the joints. Thank you. No, Amazon are not linking up with Morrison's.
Amazon
are linking up with Morrison's.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true.
Oh, right. Okay.
Morrison's is going to sell food online and Amazon.
Ah, right. Okay. I was thinking hard drives. You see,
Yeah. But you know, we like to go shopping. We don't really get our deliveries of food anymore. We tried it. We didn't really like it. It's nothing better than going and seeing things and buying. But I do use Amazon to get things off the internet. That's for sure. Amazon Prime, but not food.
Well, Morrison's bought the Ocado system and then implemented it from themselves. So although they were late for the game, they actually bought the people who were leading the game's system and then implemented it from themselves. So it'd be interesting to see if they do catch up.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I know this is that they also sold some of their drivers, and my daughter's friend's husband was one of the drivers that transferred from Ocado to Morrison's. So
yeah, I tracked it down.
Couple has moved.
I don't want to get totally wrong. Apple has moved some of its iCloud services onto Google Cloud, so these guys do work together. So when you think you're on the iCloud, you're not anymore. You could well be on Google servers.
Talking about
which
that,
I suppose it's inevitable, really. They cooperate to keep the whole system going, because we could become so reliant on having everything in the cloud. From our music to our things that we save on Evernote. In fact, everything that we do online is saved somewhere in the cloud.
Yeah.
And it's good that the people who operate the backbone, the full structure of the system are actually working together. It's just odd sounding headline that Apple, with an E, are working with Google. Yeah, I agree on that. It does mean a sea change in the work, Jonathan. It does mean a sea change in the way that Apple and Google have worked together, because they've been rivals until now.
Excuse me.
Just shows what can be done when needs must, I suppose.
Have you?
Right. Okay.
Have you guys seen the Swivel? Swivel. Have you heard of it?
Isn't that a lolly?
It's Swivel, and it's for training, and they're using it in classes. And basically, it's your iPad, and it's put on a swivel, right? And it records, and as you walk about, it follows you, right?
Okay.
And then you can push it and put the stuff. I'm looking in it for training. Fantastic piece of kit. And they're also doing it. They're really putting it in schools to put lessons up online. But whenever they be speaking, they just follow you, and it cuts out microphones and things and cameras. It just swivels and watches you go walking about. Not like having a cameraman following you, but it does it automatically. Good bit of kit. Should have a look at that. No, it's not an app. It's a piece of kit that you put your iPad or whatever onto it, and it's facing you just like this. You're taking a movie, and it follows you around the room and records what you're doing. Swivel, Swivel. I've been looking at it for a while. I
found a link. I don't know if it's the right link, but there's a link there. It'll give everybody an idea of what you're looking at. It is a piece of hardware, which, as Peter said, allows your iPad to sit safely.
Peter's gone to audio only.
Yeah, Peter, your audio's gone.
Okay.
If you'll pop out and come back in. Well, your audio's okay. Your video's gone.
All right.
Right. Okay. Right. Anything else happening this week? We've had the budget.
I want to talk about the penalties of not checking what you do online.
Okay.
Because 2 weeks ago, Phil, my middle one, ordered some tickets to go to Canada.
Okay.
Flight tickets to go to Canada. Unfortunately, they didn't do a very good job of checking when they were supposed to be coming back. And instead of the tickets having April the 15th on them, they had July the 15th on them.
All right.
And their simple mistake when selecting the return date has increased their bill from £1,400 to nearer £2,000 with the charges to get the tickets amended.
Yeah.
they wanted initially £558 just to change the tickets.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Phil's got a dad that's a bit shouty and nice appealing at the same time, and I've managed to bring that down to £346 to change the tickets. But it's a salutary lesson that really, when you say click yes, just make sure you've got everything right before you do it, because it will kick you in the pocket.
Indeed.
So that's hurt the three of them to a grand sum of 346 quid, which, because they're all youngsters, and none of them really have fantastically high-paying jobs, is really going to affect their ability to have a good time. They're actually going over for a wedding. One of their mates has emigrated to Canada, to Toronto, and he's getting married, and they're there. But there's also another byproduct, which is sort of semi-funny but not funny. Canada uses the same system whether you want to go for a short stay, multiple visits, or emigrate when you're making an application. But they made a massive update to it just before Christmas, and it's been giving them all sorts of headaches. Because Phil applied for an ETA, an electronic travel something or other, but got a reply saying that his application to be an immigrant, i.e. to immigrate into Canada as a permanent resident, had been refused.
Okay.
This caused all sorts of things, because the reason it was refused, because he has had a very minor driving offence, which resulted in 3 points and a £60 fine 5 or 6 years ago. But being Phil, he put that on the application. Anyway, he didn't want one, so he went back to them and said, but I don't want a residence permit, I want an ETA. Anyway, they said, re-enter it, put it all in again, and we'll do it. So he did that, and he came back and said, sorry, because you've had a residency application refused, you can't have an ETA. You've got to apply for a visitor's application. Yeah. So he applies for the visitor's application, and lo and behold, it comes back and says, we will grant you a visitor's application, but you've got to prove you've got no criminal convictions. Even because he'd got this history of the other one being failed because of this careless driving conviction 5 or 6 years ago. So anyway, it turns out that it's cost him £89 to go to get such a lovely little certificate to prove that he has no convictions.
Yeah. Okay.
A police certificate, no trace. I'm sure Sergeant TCS knows more about these than we do. So his trip to Canada's really been hitting him in the pocket.
But is he getting 3 points a criminal offence?
Well, no. You see, dangerous driving is, but dangerous driving. The bottom line is, Phil said, "I'll be safe. I don't want to get there and get turned away at the border because I haven't declared something that happened in the past." He's now wishing he'd never declared it because it's caused him so much problem. It's not true. Yeah. Kevin's asking if it's about me. It's not about me. It's about my lad, Phil.
There you go.
So it's rather hit him in the pocket, this trip to Canada, and he's wishing his mate wasn't getting married, I think. End of my rant about internet, online applications and watching what you do and entering that.
It's also easy to just miss something when you're entering the form online. And we all want to double check, and we try our best, but occasionally things are going to get through and bite you in the bum, as you say, somewhere down the line. Good morning. We're having a tour of the house. Where are we going?
I'm getting looks I'm in the kitchen and I hate when she's here. She's always tidying up.
Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah. So you've relocated. The beauty of the iPad.
Yeah.
being able to move around.
It is actually good in the iPad. I quite enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it coming on Android.
Right.
Because I'd love to try it. Running on Android. I think hosting a show is probably better done on a PC, but
yeah,
to be able to join in on the show would be absolutely brilliant. Speaking of shows, there was a show last night on Blab, which I highly recommend, if only for the atmosphere. Gary V was on Blab last night, and that's Gary Vaynerchuk.
I
was going to say
I've never heard of him.
I was going to say you either love him or hate him, but I've now got to say you either love him, hate him, or you've never heard of him.
What did he do again?
He's written books and things, and he's a social media personality. And he had a show last night, and I'll just get you the figures. There were 1,609 people watching the show.
Yeah, I did see a bit. I did see it come up.
Yeah, it was a half-hour show, but Blab kept with it admirably. It was very interesting, and the thing was that the show had 118 people signed up before it began, and about 40 or 50 questions for him to answer straight away. So Gary V's obviously. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin knows him. Yeah, brilliant. He's a wine distributor. Okay, and obviously that's why he's famous, because he distributes wine. That was his first business, and he's gone on from there, and he's now written a book, and he's now well. So there you are. Gary V attracted 600 people to watch the show last night, and he is a social media person, and he's going on the speakers circuit. So he's written a book, and he used social media to sell his wines, and probably one of those people to do so. As Kevin says, thank you, Kevin. We do have a mindful of knowledge in here today, which is wonderful, from Kevin and Kelvin. Yeah. Right, okay, we're coming up to the 40 minutes. Shall we? I'm going to hang on. I'm going to share that.
One last one in. Thrive.
We can get two things we need to get in on the record. Quite right, John. You've got the first one. I've got the second one. Okay. I'm just going to share the last 30 seconds of this. So if you start now, it should.
I have been evaluating Thrive since your discussions with Paul.
Okay.
I'm very impressed. It's
good.
Amazing what it can track for you. And I'm actually going to, with Paul's agreement, I'm actually going to run a project with a client.
Oh, brilliant.
Using Thrive. I also want to say the support is fantastic, because I asked a question at 5 to 11 at night and got an answer before 11 o'clock. So, you know, support's good. I think there are a few things that definitely need improving, and I've discussed them with Paul. They've already changed one of the things that causes your search to run for 3 days, and that's because if you tick one of the boxes, which has since been removed, you could actually go back for every conversation of any people who you find in your search for their entire time that they've been on social media. Hence 2.5 days, 3 days to run some of the searches. They've stopped that now, but I have suggested to them that instead of removing it completely, they perhaps limit it to 12 months so that you can catch some of those conversations. But we picked some odd combinations of words to search for. Catering equipment, which is what the client is going to use it for. That ran for 3 days, but found us 561 conversations about catering equipment, almost all of which were on Twitter. And from that, having looked through them, there's probably 350-ish people we'd like to add to our target list.
Brilliant.
So that's good. We've tested out with a trial list, sending messages with a picture, but the picture didn't arrive, and that appears to be a bug. So Paul and his team have gone off to look at that. But we also put another word in, another group of 3 words into a search, which was warm food containers, or food transport containers, sorry, and that found us 3 conversations. The only problem was that all 3 conversations took place in 2008 and were a little bit old. So that's back to the perhaps we need to limit conversation there. But I'm really impressed, and I think that it can really help. What I've also discovered is that if you can start creating your list simply by ticking them and saying add to list as you go through. If someone's Twitter handle is featured in the discussion, but because they're not party, they don't get into the list, you can simply highlight it, post it up into the question mark in the corner, and it will then open their Twitter, so you can then add them to your list, and you can add them to your Twitter list if you're running a Twitter list in parallel.
Brilliant.
And so likewise, you can click on the little bird next to a person in a conversation, open their Twitter, and add them to a Twitter list if you want to. I think one of the things that people have been demanding of Paul is the ability to bring their Twitter list in and import it into the lists. But I think there's somewhere it's a bit like Beta Blab. They have to add some priorities into what they're going to.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But I think the demand is quite high on that one. So Paul said that he would be coming back and talking about that. So I have to say, fantastic product. Still rough around the edges. Fields you don't know what they mean. And I've said to him that, you need to add some hover overs next to them so that you can see what they mean by that field. But fantastic results, amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. And what's amazing too is it all came out of Blabbing for Britain, and Paul watching one of our shows. So it shows that if you watch one of our shows, and when we look through afterwards, we always go and look at the websites and find out what people are up to, and that's how Thrive came about being on Blab. And in actual fact, John, that leads in quite nicely to Monday night, 7 o'clock here on Blab, the second interview with Paul. And as suggested in our last interview, we're actually going for the global market for Thrive. So we'll be revisiting the topics of the first. It'd be great to have you on the show, actually.
I'll be there.
Brilliant. Okay. Because you can bring up everything that you've learnt and re-ask the questions live on air and live in the show. And we can do an upbeat show for the Americans. Because if you notice, whenever they do a blab, have you seen them? Some of the Americans are very enthusiastic. That's the right word. Whereas we Brits just to get on with the job, No. Right. Okay. Before we go off recording, there is brilliant. Okay, Kev. Look forward to seeing that. There is one thing I do want to mention, as not just because Neil's with us today, but that is April 8th. We all know about it. It's Don't Stream and Drive, and I do know that Neil's doing a great amount of work behind the scenes and getting a lot of support. And I know that last night he actually got a couple of the American blabbers on board, and we know that in the blabbing groups it's been talked about, don't we, John?
Yep. And the thunderclap, where the target was 1 million, is now 123% because it's 1.314 million people signed up on the reach on the thunderclap. So we've all got to keep pushing it. I did have a little push last night, which hopefully has helped a bit. Maybe we've got to do something over the next couple of weeks to push it as well. So
I think we should.
We'll talk to Neil perhaps offline from this.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll run a show on the day, shall we?
Maybe a good thing, and have Neil feature in that show.
One last thing.
Yeah, surely.
You know the videos I've been doing.
Yeah.
In my business, I got my first contract from it because of it.
Brilliant.
It was a coffee shop, and I was saying, look, that's what we need. That's our main ingredient. And I showed a Costa, and somebody said you should go here, and it ended up with a pest control contract. Brilliant. As well as a free coffee. So I'm happy with my videos.
that's great news. Just before we go off the air, but in terms of actually social media working, I was supposed to do a blab at 2 o'clock yesterday with Babs about putting images into blog posts, and we're going to cover everything about copyright and creating images yourself and everything. But I heard yesterday morning that Babs wasn't well, and I thought, do I cancel the show or do I run it? So in the end, I did run the show at 2 o'clock, and I was talking about Blog Booster, and it was like running a webinar, because it's the first blab I've ever done on my own. I love Blab because it's not just you. It's not a webinar. You're not talking to camera. In this case, the audience was friends, so I didn't have a problem at all. And I spoke for 40 minutes about Blog Booster, and I got a promotional video out of it. But the other thing I got out of it, this was a blab about a product that I've written, which promotes WordPress blogs. And I got 2 sign-ups to my Facebook group and 1 download of the software. So Blab works. And on that note, if we want to, John, thank everybody. And
yeah, well, thanks everybody. It's been a great session. We seem to be a bit more prepared today, Stephen. We both had topics written down to talk about. So it's goodbye from me, and it's
goodbye from him, and certainly goodbye from Peter. And Peter, thanks for being on. Thanks for everybody for listening. Don't go anywhere. I'm just about to press pause record.